You can know what's coming and still fold. The disciples started running when they bust his nose. Hard to die like a martyr when you won't go. We wanna die busting guns like a hero. I'm on zero, call it slow-mo. Invite me to a show, no I can't go. I'm trying to die to myself, kill my ego. So I rise in this death, sin, let me go. I struggle in the flesh, for the Holy Spirit. I struggle with myself, where can I go and kill it? I need a tiny home, I need to go build it. No, I need a 40-day mountaintop experience. I'm tired of being microwave, where the oven. Tired of being filled with hate, where the loving. I need a first date, I need fresh loving. I need an escape, this where the hottest oven. I'm trying to tap in, so I can dap him. I'm chilling at the end, I'm tiptoeing in. Don't wanna be embarrassed, acting like a savage. Coming in a king's court, acting like an addict. Man, I'd rather be average. Kill me and take Barabbas. The crowd said it jumping, acting like rabbits. I'm killing Easter bunnies for my health status. You can have your holidays, Merry Christmas. We have one rest day, we not Christians. You can have religion, they full of wordplay. I want the real thing, so I can't fake. I can't fake. Well, I can fake, but I won't fake. Prepare for Judgment Day.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode with Be Strong Courageous. This is Mental Health. I am your brother, Hiawatha, aka Bishop H. And as usual, I got my co-host with me today, Brother Jims. How we doing, Brother Jims?
What's up, man? We are good, man. I'm glad we in the building for another. It's been a while, but we here. We back in the building, man, with another mental health podcast. I'm excited because when you told me the topic, I was like, let's get it.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna talk about a topic today that really doesn't get a lot of people really don't really think about it, and it's how does the complexity of our lives affect our mental health? You know, a fast life with a whole bunch of stuff going on versus a simple life with minimal stuff going on. So I want to jump into that because it's one of those things that kind of really goes under the radar, especially since we live here in the 4/5%, the United States. You know, we have these lifestyles where we're on the go, we're doing multiple things. You know, it's just like we're in a position where it's like we can't say yes to everything to everyone, but we do it a lot. You know, like we got to know how to say no to some things. And so I really want to just touch on some things today that want everybody out there to be mindful of that could really be affecting our mental health moving forward, you know, that we can really, you know, put the reins on a little bit. But I wanted to go over a few things, really just, I'll give a couple and we'll speak on those and I'll give a couple more. But studies have found that less TV increases more brain activity. They call it, from a psychological standpoint, they call it executive functioning. Executive functioning is like your ability to plan, your ability to have critical thinking, to sort out problems. There's a whole list of things that executive functioning actually does. One of the other things that unplugging, so to speak, does for us better is it helps us sleep better. So I'm gonna stop right there because I want to kind of jump into some of these things because I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably similar to myself. Maybe you've even done it, Brother Jims. What are some of the things we do first thing in the morning? One of the first things we do in the morning is grab our phone, right? We know good and well we should be going and spending some time with God before we get our day started. But we'll go grab that phone. We'll check our social media. What email did I get from work? And we're off and running. Got to hurry up and get breakfast. And it's just like, are the complexities of our lifestyle in our lives affecting us mentally?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to stop there. But what you think, Brother Jims?
Man, I think this is a great topic because I love to talk about when your heart is rushed. To live with your heart in a rushed place is dangerous because we talk about city life a lot. And when you think about city life, when you get on traffic, you know, when traffic is backed up or jammed or things like that, what's the first thing that we start to feel inside?
Anxiety.
like honking the horn. I need to find another route, all these kind of things. So I look at city life. City life includes a lot of things, right? Country life don't include a lot of things. Country life is simple. It's like the day go a lot slower when you're in the country. I don't know if people anybody who ever been around in the country or something. The day go a lot slower when you're in the country. When you're in the city, it's rush, 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 rush. You rush to go to work, rush to get off, rush home, rush to eat, rush to bed. Rush and look and rush to spend time with my kids. And the time I spend with them a lot of times is a frustrated moment. Yeah, I'm frustrated with them. I ain't even seen them for 2 hours, and it's a funny thing how your heart being rushed, what I'm saying, can produce a lot of things. And what is a reason that it's rushed? It's a lot of things you got going on. It's a lot of things you have to do. That is what puts our position in a place. I mean, our heart in a position of being rushed. So I know what you're talking about, because if you go to a third world country, for instance, and give a child one toy, they'll be happy with that toy. But if we give our children how many toys, bro?
20, and they'll play with them for 5 minutes and then be done with them and be on to the when can I get the next toy? When can I get the next download? When can I get the next this?
Right. And this is the last thing I wanted to say before we go back to where you at with it. Because even if you think on that level right there, when someone said it takes $100,000 to raise a child, it takes so much money. Is that true? Like, it don't.
It really don't.
It don't take a lot of money to raise a child. How was people doing it before all of these gadgets and toys and all? We don't a lot of times think about that from that perspective. What was people doing before that? You know what I'm saying? Why do we say these things and believe it? But go ahead, bro. I can go in.
No, that's perfect, because we spend so much of our day just trying to check off all the boxes. And the problem is we have so many boxes to check off. A lot of times we're even engaged in that moment. It's superficial, because we're just trying to check off the box. We're just trying to do this and get to the next thing. Do this and get to now. I spent a little bit of time with my kids. Okay, now I got to go do this. I dropped my kids off. I took them to practice. I did that. We got all these things going on. It's just like, when you look at it, how much is really important. But the bigger piece is, what is it doing to us mentally? Because like you said, people are literally having breakdowns because they're being late for work, or they got to change a meeting, or something got messed up, their car broke down, all these different things, because we are so rushed in our day. And it's just like, we're doing all this stuff. And what is it doing? It's creating anxiety. It's creating depression. It's creating, I don't even want this anymore. But probably one of the biggest things is, a lot of times we don't even have space in there for God. We're doing all this stuff and we don't even have space in there for God. And it's just like, I made a mentioning of what the world does to us. The world's always telling us what we're supposed to do to be successful or to run your lives. And then when God gets introduced into your world, he starts to tell you what you need to do. And like you said, he doesn't have us doing a whole bunch of stuff with a rushed heart. Like, it's just interesting, because I just went on a trip to Colorado, and it's more of a rural town just south of Aspen, and everybody's just kind of chilling, just kind of enjoying the moment, going through the day. Nobody was rushed. People didn't look like they were stressing out, grabbing their phone every 5 seconds, checking this, checking that. What TV show was this? It's just so much going on. So what I'm getting to in this podcast is, are our lives too complex in order to keep us in a good headspace when it comes to mental health?
Yeah, and I like this aspect of it, because what you just said. There's a hunger for solitude, not solitary confinement. Solitude. There's a hunger for, because a lot of times people like to go on YouTube and things and sit and watch somebody build a homestead. Buy them a piece of land and build a homestead. These people be having millions of subscribers. Why is that? Think about what I just said. A lot of people will go in there and look at someone else's lifestyle, them jumping out there to live a simple life where they grow their own food and do all these things. And there's something in the heart that resonates with that, especially for so many people to be following it. And when I think about it from that perspective, it's like, what is it in the heart that desires that alone solitude place, especially, to slow everything down? What is that thing?
Peace. It's got to be peace. So let me read off a couple more things. Increased concentration happens with less stimulus because we're stimulated by so much radio, music, TV, traffic, this, that. When there's and creativity goes up when there's less clutter. We talk about that all the time,
Yep.
right? Creativity goes up when there's less clutter. So when you have 1,000 things to focus on, your creativity goes down. We talk about it in our spiritual boot camp. Different things that we do when we really focus in on just a couple things, you start to see people's creativity come out, as opposed to when we're exposed to the world and we're trying to do 100 things. Man, we just start to spread ourselves thin. And what that does is it creates, like we said, anxiety, depression. It creates all these other mental labels that come on upon us, that it's just like, how do we even shake it? And we're just doing it just on our normal day-to-day things, and we're not even putting it in the same category as all the normal reasons why people fall into these mental states. So this is really why I want to do this podcast, because I want people to be aware that, like, being able to simplify your life down is going to make your mental capacity go up in terms of having a stable mindset. But before we move forward, I want to read this. Some people ain't gonna like this one. Having fewer possessions can help you in your spiritual walk.
Mm-hmm.
Having fewer possessions, because we all know that we have some possessions out there, or the things that we have that we hold on strong to. We hold on strong to, and a lot of times we won't like to think that we have some idols that maybe we cherish sometimes a little bit more than our God. Oh, we got to have this nice house. We got to get this car. We got to get this bag. We got to get this. We got to get the next. And we're never even satisfied. And we have to be very, 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 very careful about, I mean, let's be real. How many people only have 2 or 3 pairs of shoes in their closet? Ladies, how many of y'all only got 1 or 2 purses? All right. So y'all getting what I'm getting at. We have a lot of stuff. We have an abundance of stuff. Anybody ever heard of spring cleaning? Oh man, I gotta go ahead and take these 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 shirts down to the Goodwill. I gotta clean. I don't even wear these no more. Why do we have all these possessions? Why do we have all these things? Why do we have all this clutter? Why do we have all this stuff? All this stuff, I promise you, is affecting the way that your thought process goes. And when is it going to be enough? Never. It's going to run you ragged, though. It's going to run you ragged when you're off to work. From work, we go to this. We got to go to this practice. We got to drop the kids off. We got to drop them at school. We got to go to the grocery store. We got to do all these things. It's like, are we even dividing up our tasks in our household? Or are we just rushing to do 100 things trying to be Superman and Superwoman? And that stuff is going to take a toll. This is why people get tired. I'm tired, boss. This is why people get tired. So we really need to evaluate, what can we do to simplify our lifestyle? Is all this stuff even really necessary in our true walk with Christ, in our true lives? Is all this even necessary? Should I even be doing all this? When's the last time you even checked in with God? Should we be doing this stuff? We just out here doing the most. I'm gonna stop right there.
So, I got to bring Bible in it, bro, all the time, man. We got to do it because I love how God is so consistent. When they was coming out of Egypt and they was going into the land and things like that, in Deuteronomy, it talks about the king, right? But I just look at it as people, and it says, and I'm gonna start in verse 16. He says, the king, moreover, must not acquire great numbers of horses for himself, or make the people return to Egypt to get more of them. For the Lord has told you, you are not to go back that way again. Watch what he says in verse 17. It's Deuteronomy 17:17. He says, he must not take many wives, or his heart will be led astray. He must not accumulate large amounts of silver and gold. Think about what God is saying. So he says that's for the king, right? But that's for anybody. Because watch this. In Proverbs 13, it says, this is what Proverbs 13:7. One person pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. You know, so when you think about just the thought process of God, he understood, and we talked about this in Bible study before, that King David, when he would go and win these victories, he wouldn't take all their stuff. He'll actually hamstring the horses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was he was a man after God's heart, right? Think about this. That's what God said. But Solomon, he had hundreds, thousands of horses. So when you really think about God's intent, his mindset when he gives us instructions, he understands. Remember, rich young ruler, he had too many possessions.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting rid of that makes him sad. If that's how God sees it, right? We should become more attentive and aware. Then it should be an alert button going off. There should be a fire alarm ringing in our ears. Like, the more things that we amass, the more dangerous it is for my soul. Or the more things I give someone. Watch this. Give, because you can be remember he said, watch this, what I'm about to say. If anyone causes these little children to what? To sin, to stumble, right? It's better that you tie a millstone around your neck. Mm-hmm. Look what we've done. Look what this generation have done to the younger generation. Look what they're about. Let's go hip hop. Look what hip hop did to us.
Sure.
Right? You think that millstone ain't a big boulder now?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we think about God's mindset, and then we get a real world view of it, of what gets passed down, when you pass your children down all these things, you call it giving them a better life. You actually giving them a worse life, badder life.
For sure.
That's what you're doing, because that's the word.
If you have much, if you have a lot, you got to track a lot. I'm going to say that again. If you have a lot going on, you have to track a lot going on. And how is that going to wear you down? But more importantly, let's just get to, like you said, like there's a competition out there. You know, we grew up as like keeping up with the Joneses. You know, who gets the nicer house, who gets the more car, who gets to this, who gets to that. What does that hustle do to your mental state to try to keep up in a competitive mindset of get more stuff, get more house, get more car, get more money, get more this? And it's just like, you're running yourself ragged to do what? You're running yourself ragged to do what? To have a bunch of stuff, to do a bunch of things that are all going to fade away at the end of this lifetime? And for what? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, what are we doing to ourselves trying to do a lot of this stuff, creating unnecessary stress, worrying about stuff that is really in a lot of cases very superficial. And it's just like, we have to be very careful of like how complex our lives are. What are the things that we're actually engaging in? Is it causing us undue stress? Is it causing us depression? Is it causing us to feel lonely? Is it causing us to feel like, oh, we're not worthy because this person over here has more stuff and that person over here has this and we don't have that? Knowing here in the United States, we have way more than, like we discussed in other podcasts. We have way more going on and stuff and possessions than the majority of the world. And you can see that it is actually working against us because we're putting ourselves in a situation where what? Because we have so much stuff going on, we are more distracted. We're don't have the spiritual walk that we need to have because we do have so much stuff going on. We can't seem to fit God in when God needs to be on the forefront of things. And we're letting these systems and things that we do take precedence over how should we be moving, or how we're moving, I should say, versus how we need to move and what God needs us to do. And it's just like, we've gotten birthed into that, and we really need to retract a little bit and start to minimize some of the things that we really engage in to help our mental mindsets be in a good space. And I'm gonna stop right there.
And I might bring more Bible in for us because I think it's so important.
Yeah.
In Philippians 4, Paul said something that was so key. Paul said in Philippians 4, he said, and I'm gonna read. I guess I'll start in 10. He said, "I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. So he was talking about, him being, they had concern for him because they heard about his situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he said in verse 11, I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. Contentment is great gain, right?
Love it.
And he said, I know what it is to be in need, in verse 12, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content. And in any and every situation. People like Philippians 4:13, but they understand the context of what he's saying. He said, I've learned, people think I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can move this mountain. I can do, it's like that. They go from that place.
Right.
But what he's talking about is I can go through hunger, right? And the Lord can strengthen me. I can go through not having, and the Lord can give me strength. That's what he's talking about. But this is what he says. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through Christ or him who gives me strength.
There it is.
So it's when you really think about contentment is saying, just because I saw an advertisement or just because I saw someone being advertised by someone else got it, right? That doesn't mean I have to run and get it.
100%.
I need to always check where my soul meter is at. I like to call it salvation meter, because if you keep it real with yourself, you'll always say, am I in good standing?
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll say, I know I'm in good standing. I know I'm doing what you said. I know I'm being obedient to you. I know I have surrendered to you. My life ain't even my own no more. It's a big difference. Am I in good standing compared to, I know, Father, I'm doing everything you told me. And if I'm missing anything, bring it to my attention, because that's the key right there. Contentment.
And I believe contentment, you guys have heard me say this before, contentment is going to roll right along with gratitude. We got to be okay with what we have going on. We got to be okay with not necessarily having to go after more. It's just like, how do we get to a place where we can fix some of these issues? Let's get there. But before we get there, let me read off a couple more things. A simple life protects the environment. Also, a simple life lowers chronic stress. Number 10, better relationships happen when you have a simple life, because you're not rushed. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You're not running all over the place with your head cut off, right? So how do we fix some of these issues? Well, the first thing is just understanding, like, what is actually really important. Do we have to do all this stuff? Who said we have to do all this stuff? But more importantly, when we are doing this stuff, are we doing it with a rushed heart? We're going from space to space to space to space. We're jumping from hoop to hoop to hoop to hoop. And by the end of the day, people are stressed out. And what do people do? Oh, I can't wait to get home so I can get me a glass of wine to take the edge off. Why are we in a lifestyle that requires us to take the edge off when we get home, as opposed to just being in prayer and petition throughout the day with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? We don't want to have those rushed hearts. And we need to ask ourselves, what are we doing? But more importantly, like, how do we get out of this? How can we fix it? And the first thing that I would encourage people to do is, let's decide of what's really important. But more importantly, in that same breath of what's important, it's just like, can we, like Brother Jim said, can we be content with our job? Can we be content with the house that God has given us without necessarily having to go after more? Can we be content in the vehicles we have? Can we be content in the things that we have going on, so we can start to simplify our life? I love going out to the countryside when it's quiet. I love being in the mountains when it's quiet. I can hear the birds. I can hear the water rushing down the mountain. It's so peaceful, as opposed to being in the city where you got the horns going off, you got the things chiming, you got this, you got all the conversation in the background. like to the point where it's like, man, you don't even want to be in crowds because it's just so much going on. It's like you can't even focus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can't even focus. And it's like we want to be in a place of joy, a place of peace, and it's going to be much, much harder to do that when you got 100 things going on. We need to dial that back. What is the most essential thing that we need to be doing? What is the most essential thing that we need to be doing? Go ahead.
Man, hide yourself. It's nothing wrong with hiding yourself. There's a proverb I love. It says, a wise man sees the evil. And I mean, it's in Proverbs 27. It says the wise see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Like what wisdom says, it's dangerous to have many things. It's dangerous for me to have a mindset where I'm what they call it, a multitasker.
Mm-hmm.
That's I can multitask. Mm-hmm. That is a dangerous mindset to have, because you'll try to become Superman or Superwoman or a superhero, right? Because you are such a multitasker that you can't focus. But when you see the danger of having a lot of things, when you see the danger of not having a simple, you said the simple keep going, right? That means you're mindlessly like just doing this. And then over in Luke, I'm not going to take this out of context, but I like something that Jesus said, because it was a warning to all of Jerusalem when he said it. He said, when you see Jerusalem being surrounded by armies, you know that its desolation is near. Let those in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those in the city get out. Let those in the country not enter the city, right? And so those words mean a lot to me, because I know he's talking about the temple, right? But it's what he said. When you see yourself being surrounded by things, right, that can take your life, flee. Think about surrounded by things that can take your life, flee. Run to the mountains. Run away. Get in solace. Get in solitude with me. I'm telling you, man, it's a hunger.
And I said something earlier in a regular conversation to Brother Jim's, and I said, don't allow your cell phone to steal your salvation. And the reason why I bring that up, because I wanted to read off some quick statistics as we wind this thing down. 99% of the population in America has an electronic, some type of electronic.
You said 99?
99%.
Wow. I could believe it.
86% have a computer, 74% have a smartphone, 55% have a tablet, and there are currently right now over 2 billion people that are signed on to Facebook and IG, Instagram. And so we have all these moving parts, and it's just like, who do we have to engage in all this stuff? Or why do we even engage in a lot of this stuff? Why do we have to do so much? Why can't we just do what is necessary and dial the rest of the time back? And so I'm doing this podcast because I want people to really be mindful of what we're engaging in, and really ask yourself, am I being too complex? Am I trying to do too much? Why am I doing so much? Because that's a very big thing. We don't have to do all these things. Sometimes we need to just sit, chill, and rest. That don't mean we're going to sit, chill, and rest all the time, but there's a lot of things that we don't necessarily need to engage in. We don't necessarily have to get up first thing in the morning, grab our phone, run to the computer, check our email, check our social medias, and all these different things. At some point in time, we have to slow our worlds down because we're going to miss it. We're so busy doing that we can't even focus on what's important because we're trying to do 100 things. So we really need to dial that back, because that type of stuff is putting stress on us, is putting depression on us, is giving us feelings of isolation, all different types of things that we're unaware of, that is one of the causes of being in a specific headspace. So I just kind of wanted to bring that, up, as like I said, as we get ready to close down. What you got, Brother Jims?
Man, help. Like the reason I say help is because I want you to know we here to help, man. Like a lot of you guys on here know, man, we bought 50 acres of land. The goal is community. The goal is to live amongst each other, to be amongst each other. That's the goal. Solitude is something that's going to grow us. Um, I like to use it like this: physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. It's going to do it. Physically, you'll be in better shape because to go out there and water a garden, or to plant a tree, or to chop some wood. You know what I mean? Like, just your mind will be at such like such a place of peace, and that's the goal. So we here to help, but we want you to help yourself too. And helping yourself mean you have to first go to God and see if this is something that he's calling you into. And I know he is. I'm telling you to go do it, but I know he's calling you into a place of alone time with him, for one, but to be in community and fellowship. I know that for a fact. I see the power of it. A lot of us on spiritual boot camp, we see the power of having a tribe. We see the power of getting to know each other. And so what I mean is, like, we trying to simplify everything. That's the goal. Simplify everything, and that's help right there. So that's what I got, man. That's all I wanted to say, bro. You can close it out, man.
Yeah. Last thing is, like, let's focus on building a life that we don't need a vacation from. I'm gonna say that again. Let's focus on building a life that we don't need a vacation from. Okay, that's the goal. So I would love to get feedback. Leave me a comment, send us an email. The letter B, strong and courageous, 777 at Gmail. Love to do some one-on-ones if people need some tips on how to simplify their lives down so they're not moving 101 miles per hour. But we're here to help. And so when you get that opportunity, please reach out to us. Like I said, we're wanting to help everybody get in the best mental space, but more importantly, not just get there, but stay there. And that comes with understanding and being able to acknowledge the changes that you need to make. So with that being said, y'all got to have clear eyes, full heart, and as always, be strong and courageous.